The penultimate round of the 2021 GTOpen International Championship takes place right here, right now, at one of the most famous race circuits on earth. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Monza. We welcome you to this legendary circuit, which next year celebrates 1 century of competition under very threatening skies. In fact, as you can see in the background, for the moment, the track is dry, and we have just gone green with this qualifying session, the second of the weekend, as the cars desperately make their way out onto the circuit. And the reason there is the rush at the end of pit lane is because we are expecting rain during this session before the checkered flag comes out in just under 1.5 hours time. Ian Silvestrin with you in commentary, once again joined by Ida Wood, who's just made his way up from pit lane. This will be a cracking qualifying session simply because, as we've just mentioned, as one of the 3 Hondas gets sideways on the exit. They were on the podium yesterday, incidentally. We had a fantastic race with 6 different model and manufacturers finishing inside the top 6. We are expecting rain here this morning, and therefore there is a rush to get out and set a time early. This will be a fantastic qualifying session to set the grid for race 2 this afternoon.
Yep, and because we've got our international GTOpen cars and our GT Cup Open Europe cars, as we're seeing one of the Porsches in that class right now, we're going to have 27 cars on track. It's going to be quite hard to get clear air to find a lap. So because they've all gone out once, actually they're going to be compromising each other. You're going to get a bit of chaos involved. Some of the cars have left it a little bit later to come out of the pits, but that does leave them less time in case the rain does arrive, and it's quite dark out there right now.
It is increasingly so. Our weather forecast, depending on which app we're using. And as I told you at the previous round in the Red Bull Ring, when we had a torrential downpour at the end of race 1, I have to ditch the Android weather app because it's simply unreliable. It's telling me rain at 8:30 this morning. So we're on borrowed time at the moment as the cars make their way around the circuit into the newly renamed Michele Alboreto Parabolica. This is Dirk Schouten, who took the Cup class win yesterday in the 53 Porsche. One of quite a few Belgian and Dutch drivers who have elected to race with us this weekend in the penultimate round of the championship, sharing the car with Nick van Dierendonk, despite the fact that the famous Zolder 24-hour race is still taking place as we speak up there in Belgium, the former Belgian Grand Prix circuit. Yesterday, if you missed race 1, the team on your screen, 2Cs Motorsport, took a spectacular victory. A debut win for the team with the driver combination of Croatian Martin Kodric. It was his second victory at Monza in GTOpen International in 2 years. And it was his Canadian teammate, his young 23-year-old Canadian teammate, Ethan Simeoni, who withstood the pressure brilliantly to take the Mercedes to victory. Frederic Schandorf tried to chase him down, the championship leader, sharing the 63 Vincenzo Cispiri Lamborghini with Michele Beretta, who took the opening stint. They pitted early, as you look at Ethan out on circuit at the moment in car 9. Frederic Schandorf, he rejoined in position 6, then was into 5th, 4th, picked them off one by one. As we look at Dan Piel from the Netherlands, he made a magnificent pass on Jacopo Guidetti down into the first chicane to take second place, but ultimately finished second on the podium, did extend his lead in the championship. It was Kodric and Simeoni who took a fantastic win from Schandorf and Beretta. As you see the sparks fly here this morning, that's how dark it is. Usually you cannot see that in bright sunshine. And Jacopo Guidetti sharing the one of 3 Honda NSXs with Marco Bononomi. They took a fantastic podium here yesterday afternoon. So we're underway with qualifying, and we're waiting for the first cars to set a flying lap here this morning.
Yep, we have our Pro-Am class car, Joe Osborne, in the McLaren, currently at the top of the times at 1 minute 48.587, almost half a second up on Yuki Nomoto, who unfortunately didn't get to race yesterday because his teammate put the car in the gravel very early on, but that was before the driver change window. So Yuki is rearing to basically just get experience, and we see a little flash there. I thought I saw it earlier as well. We do have lightning already close by at the circuit. No sign of the rain yet. Hopefully that will stay away, but you know, it is lighting up the circuit a little bit. All the cars have got their lights on, and obviously you're not allowed to flash to distract the driver in front. in this series. You know, they're very strict on that. But in these kinds of conditions, this is where you can play a little bit with that strategy. You can move around, use the lights, use the windscreen wipers as well, even when it's not raining, because ultimately it's just going to keep the visor clean. We're now following our, well, it was our provisional poleman. He's already fallen down the order quite a bit because now several more lap times are being set. Nemoto at the top, 49.044. He's now half a second ahead Giacomo Altoe, who won the title here 2 years ago.
Yes, Giacomo Altoe, another driver who didn't actually get any laps yesterday. As we look at Joe Osborne in the Optimum Motorsport Inception Racing McLaren Car 72, which was so quick at the Red Bull Ring. And just looking out the window of our commentary position, it looks as though we may have just lightly a few drops of rain starting to fall as Joe comes across the line to set a time of 1:48.828. We just got a glimpse a few moments ago of some of the Cup Class cars joining us here this week in Car 12. That was Glauco Solieri for Ginzani Motorsport. And just ahead was Maciej Blacek and Maciej Lisowski in Car 24, the Polish team for A&P Racing. 3 cars strong of Vincenzo Sospiri Racing as we look at one of the boys from Brazil. Great to have Team 360 here with us on track. This is Mauro Marcio, or it was, in Car 27. The 2-car attack from the Brazilian Porsche Carrera Cup Championship. Joe Osborne currently on top from Jacopo Guidetti. Here are 2 of the 3 Vincenzo Sospiri Racing Lamborghinis. Car 19 is on your screen at the moment, being driven by that Japanese missile Yuki Nemoto. This car DNF'd yesterday. It made contact with the McLaren of Ollie Milroy, which went on to lose a door not once but twice. As we look very carefully out the front window of yesterday's race-winning car, being driven by the Canadian Ethan Simeoni down into the Ascari chicane for any signs of rain. In fact, that's not the Ascari.
That's the second chicane, but he was hitting 258k as he got to now going through
now into the Lesmos.
The Lesmos, yeah. So the track does look fairly gripped up because he was taking the usual dry lines as he went through those corners. Often when it rains, you take a bit of alternative lines, although with such tight chicane, there isn't too much of an option there. He is currently not on our picture because we've got the Mercedes, which obviously won yesterday, handing a slipstream to the Ferrari. Now, because of the humidity in the air, it is actually going to be a bit warmer. The air is less dense at the moment. Therefore, the slipstream should be a bit more of an advantage. We're going to look at the Lamborghini now. That was provisionally on pole a few moments ago. Joe Osborne's now back on top of 48.8, just 0.005 seconds up on Jacopo Guidetti, who really impressed yesterday and is continuing that today.
Yes, Jacopo Guidetti in one of the 3 Honda NSXs, as we say, on the podium yesterday. A brilliant 3rd place, currently 2nd on the grid ahead of Fabrizio Crestani, one of the more experienced drivers here. This is car 19 on your screen, being driven by Yuki Nemoto. His teammate, Frederick Schandorf, the championship leader, is down in the pits at the moment and he's down in 11th place. He'll need to get out quickly if it does indeed rain, which we are expecting before the checkered flag, which is just over 20 minutes from now. The blue flag being waved for car 44, which had, well, it had an exciting race yesterday. The Cup Class car. Eugenio Pisani's sharing that car with Stefano Bozzoni. So we take a look at a replay coming onto the straight. The wipers are on. Yes, it's raining already. As one of the 3 Hondas goes round, Alberto Lippi in the gravel. So we're looking, can he get it out? He's got 1-wheel drive at the moment. Oh, nicely done by Alberto. You can see it is raining here at Monza.
It's chucking it down.
Frederick Schandorf is stuck down in position 11. He's in the pits. He won't improve. Joe Osborne on provisional pole position at the moment, 1:48.828. Sure, we've got 20 minutes remaining in the session, but you can see it is raining here at Monza. Potentially, that already, potentially I say, is qualifying done.
And you can see that Honda on the automatic jacks coming off the ground. That's probably, you know, with the wheels off the ground, the same amount of grip you're going to get on the rain at the moment, because they are just sliding through Parabolica and pretty much whenever they have to apply any steering whatsoever. So with the conditions getting worse, you could put on the, I guess, a wet compound tyre and still go faster. Here's a replay of another spinner. That's one of the Porsches that might have been...
One of the Brazilian Porsches.
Yeah, 32. So that's Fernando Fortes in 24th, and he's just ahead of Marcio Moro, who for the second time this weekend has driven over the pit exit line onto the track too early. So he's got a reprimand for that. I don't think he'll be committing that offence again, because it's more normally where once you've been warned once, you don't do it a second time. Now we've got we can hear the thunder from our commentary box.
Can indeed. There is flashes of lightning off in the distance here to the north of Milan, in the north of Italy, not too far south of the Swiss border is this world-famous circuit. We have only got 2 cars on circuit. Marcus Pavarud has elected to stay out, and also Dan Pell, the Dutch driver who's down in 18th place. It is raining. They will not go any faster than this, potentially. Joe Osborne has taken pole position already, despite the fact we have got just under 20 minutes remaining in the qualifying session. The wipers are on one of the cars to remain out on circuit. This is Dan Pell from the Netherlands in car 33, going much slower than a normal dry weather slick pace. The Michelin slick tyres are good, but it matters little when the rain is coming down. It's just light at the moment, but it is increasing. As you can see, down in pit lane now, it's heavy rain.
And a lot
Marcus
of thunder.
Pavarud stayed out. There's the thunder. Oh, we can hear the thunder.
Yeah.
And you may get a glimpse of the lightning in the background. This is Marcus Pavarud.
He's going to go straight ahead. Oh, he just made it.
Just down through the chicane. Interesting to check his time. Wheel spin, oversteer, exit out of the first chicane. Marcus Pavarud. So if there's any hope, which I'm trying to be optimistic, there's not, of going faster.
Obviously, because we have 2-car lineups in almost every single car in the GTOpen and in GT Cup, the drivers qualifying now will be the starting drivers in the race. So if it's still going to be raining in the race, it's actually going to be very useful to know exactly what it's like, pretty much from a standstill, to see what the traction's like, and then also simply to get an understanding of what the track is like this morning, because it's going to wash away all of the rubber that was laid down yesterday, because it's significantly gripped up over the day. But it's actually warmer than it was yesterday, because obviously, it's trapping the humidity right now. So there's a lot to be learned by staying out there, and I think the Honda's made the right choice.
We ride on board with Fabrizio Crestani.
There's the corner, and he hasn't made the corner at all.
That was skillful to keep it on the asphalt at least. If it's going to be a wet race this afternoon, 100% chance. There's no if about it, to be honest. So with 17 minutes in the session remaining still, we'll call it now. Joe Osborne will take pole position for race 2 here at Monza. He set a time of 1:48.828. As the lightning flashes here at Monza, we have got all except Marcus Pavarud, and Jan Antoszewski goes out onto the circuit as well. Joe Osborne with the 1:48.828 early in the session. The rain came down as we look at Jacopo Guidetti on the podium yesterday. He will start race 2 in the rain this afternoon, but obviously looking for, just to get a feel for the conditions, which we are expecting to be much worse than this afternoon. For those of you that remember 2 weeks ago at the Red Bull Ring in Austria, 10 minutes before the checkered flag in race 1, it pelted down at the top of the hill, and we had a car park going into turn 3. This is Jacopo Guidetti. One of the 3 Hondas here, the Michelin wet tyres, now on car 18. Jan Antoszewski, the other driver, out on the circuit. Joe Osborne, incidentally, has just left pit lane. Confident he can be that he will start from pole position as the rain gets heavier. And Ethan Simeone, yesterday's race winner, waits down in pit lane. Look at the rain starting to come down now. Down through Saraglio. Osborne with a 48.828. Pole position this afternoon, despite the fact we've got half of the session remaining. Jacopo Guidetti on your screen, he put in a quick time of 48.833. In fact, it was just 0.005 of a second slower than Osborne. Look at this down the back straight. It is now torrential here at Monza.
That is probably 5 meters visibility maximum, and we can. There's standing water everywhere. The rivers down the pit straight. We've actually got rivers flowing kind of in a southwestern direction. So, yeah, I think they're going to red flag this. There is no way. It's wow. You can see the water being displaced. That is literally liters of water being pushed out by those tyres. He is almost moving at a standstill because there is zero grip out there. but the McLaren is fully committed, it seems, going behind the Porsche. So it looks like it's lighter at the top of the circuit, at the northern end, but not where we are at the Parabolica and down the pit straight.
So Osborne can relax to some degree knowing that he's taken pole position. He's just ventured out onto an increasingly wet circuit to try and get a feel for the conditions, which are deteriorating by the second here at Monza. And this is what we are expecting here this afternoon. Look at this down the back straight. Visibility almost non-existent. Let's feel for our Euro Formula Open wheel F3 drivers who are racing race 2 after this. Of course, in a GT closed roof car, they have, well, some degree of visibility and, dare I say, comfort, relatively speaking. But in an open wheeler, Euro Formula Open, they're about to take this to the circuit to race 2 in the rain here this morning. You can see in the background, let's try and be positive. Yes, the crowd is building here at Monza.
Yep, we've got a few hundred spectators here.
They were here at 7 this morning.
Yes, queuing up. And actually we have the Monza Marathon team doing laps, not of the circuit, but of the roads around the circuit as well. So good to see them. They're probably drenched to the core at the moment. We're on board with Maciej Blasek or Mateusz Lizowski, whoever's in the car at the moment.
Yeah, it is Mateusz.
Yeah, he's hitting 2, I presume that's in kilometres an hour, so 2... No, I don't think that is kilometres an hour.
No. But maybe his heart rate at the moment as they go down. It's almost undrivable down the back straight.
And it almost looks like the rain's coming at them faster than they're driving at the rain. That's how much is coming down at the moment.
We can see the speed down in the very bottom left of the screen under the steering wheel. 120 k's an hour into third gear. Through the Alboreto Parabolica, we'll see if he just dives down into pit lane sideways as he corrects it. Undrivable for Mateusz Lizowski. Some of the Porsche drivers were saying yesterday in the dry it wasn't the best ideal conditions for them. They were praying for rain, but probably not this. That torrential downpour we've got here at the moment as Maciej Lizowski comes into the pits. We'll start from grid 20. Joe Osborne, we've still got just under half the session remaining. He's in pit lane. He will start from pole position. Let's take a moment to check what will be the grid. Despite the fact we've got over 12 minutes until the checkered flag, Osborne will start from pole position in the 72 McLaren. Jacopo Guidetti will start from the outside of the front row. Incidentally, they started from grid 2 yesterday and came home on the podium. Fabrizio Crestani in the 333 Ferrari out of grid 3. Welcome back to GTOpen International to Giacomo Altoea. He will start out of grid 4. Yuki Nomoto, his VSR teammate out of 5, the Zimbabwean Axel Jeffries. He is currently in P6. All these times were set on a dry circuit at the very beginning of the second session. Axel Jeffries at 49 dead, ahead of Gerhard Tweresa. That's a good result for Gerhard in 7. The third of the Pro-Am class cars. As you look at Ethan Simeone just parked in pit lane. Diabolical the conditions as you look at Dirk Schouten sharing the 53 car with Nicolas van Dierendonk. Both coming over, or coming down from Belgium, the Netherlands, having raced in the Belcar Series the last few seasons. The Sol Antonelli Motorsport Mercedes out on circuit with Loris Spinelli behind the wheel. They have qualified position 8 with a 149.529. And this is interesting, position 9, as we get an enormous crack of thunder in the background. You may have just heard that.
Or it might be the Lamborghini V10. Can't tell these days. It is very wet at the moment.
We referred to it was just a figure of speech, the thunderous roar yesterday of the 6.2 litre V8 Mercedes, which is on your screen at the moment. Oh, he locks up under brakes. Ooh. This is almost undrivable. Loris will go straight ahead. Loris has qualified P8. Al-Faisal Al-Zubair, the Omani, tried to educate me onto how to pronounce his name correctly. I don't speak Arabic. Try my best, Al-Faisal. They've qualified in 9th as we look at one of the Porsches going around and into the wall. That was a decent hit. It looks as though that's one of our Brazilian drivers twice into the wall.
And the grass is so waterlogged now that the wheels just spin as soon as they hit the grass, and he just slid over because there is a lip from the track. Almost not quite a ditch, but it still drops to the untarmac surface.
We've got a red flag now as the 44 Porsche comes down into pit lane. So it was either Fernando Fortes or Mauro Marcio who have parked in the wall. The three-strong Vincenzo Sospiri Racing Lamborghinis down in pit lane, just quickly finishing that point on Al Faisal Al Zubair. They have qualified ninth. Of course, he's sharing the 77 Porsche with Andy Soucek, who is third in the championship and needs a miraculous result here this afternoon to have any hope of taking the 2021 title. So it is Mauro Marcio who has hit the wall. And we'll just quickly do some maths. The race is at 2:25 this afternoon. So that gives the team around about 4.5 hours to repair what we expect to be reasonably extensive damage on the 27 360 Racing Team car from South America. Tyler Cook in position 10 in car 10, the American who came second yesterday with the Kiwi, Brendan Leach. They put in a 49.787 before the rain came down. Yesterday's race winner on your screen, Ethan Simeone, P1 on the podium yesterday afternoon, this morning, and are now red flagged qualifying. Yesterday's race winner in position 13. So the qualifying session has been red flagged. We can speculate, most likely quite accurately, that the session will not resume. Of course, technically it can, as Jan Antoszewski makes his way back to pit lane. But reality may well set in. No one will venture back out. As we just listen in now. Saying down into the first chicane, the car was just undrivable. Glauco Solieri.
So for championship implications for our two leading cars, we've got the Lamborghini of Bretta and Schandorf. That is down in 11th place, only 1 second off. So it's fair. The pace was pretty close before the rain came. And then the Andy Soucek Al Faisal Al Zubair car, 9th place, so 2 positions ahead. However, there is 30 points between Schandorf and Bretta and Soucek at the moment, and at the moment it will come down to drop scores. So if Schandorf and Bretta can outscore Soucek by 6 points in today's race, they will become the champions with 1 round to go. If not, because Soucek doesn't have to drop a score, I don't think, then it will go to Barcelona. But starting ahead of the Lamborghini is certainly going to aid him here, particularly if we start this race behind the safety car later today.
The thunder crack in the background as we look at the 18 Honda of Jacopo Guidetti. This happened just a few moments ago. Did very well not to panic and keep it out of the gravel trap. Jacopo to start out of grid 2 this afternoon after finishing third yesterday. We take a look at Joe Osborne, who will start from pole position this afternoon. Car 100, Jan Antoszewski. The Polish driver yesterday, or the Polish team I should say, third in Hungary. And yesterday in the gravel, they didn't have a good race. Jan Antoszewski to start out of grid 21. This is car 7 of the American driver, Brendan Irebe, who will start 1 position ahead of yesterday's race winner, fellow American driver, fellow North American. Brendan from the USA, Ethan from Canada. They're in positions 12 and 13, car 54. 53, I should say, yesterday's Cup Class winner. Dirk Schouten down in position 23, and this was what brought out the red flag. Mauro Marcio into the wall at speed. Loris Spinelli, after missing the previous round at the Red Bull Ring 2 weeks ago when he was racing over in the United States of America, back with the Antonelli Motorsport team. Ventured out for a single lap and basically was lucky to get it back to pit lane. He will start from grid 8 this afternoon. So qualifying as expected, if we're brutally honest, has been red flagged. We did well to get in a few dry laps. Joe Osborne has taken pole position, provisionally of course, despite the fact that we've still got over 10 minutes remaining in the session. We don't expect it to restart.
Looking at the weather forecast, the rain is supposed to ease up at 11 a.m. local time. It's currently 9:24, so that's going to be after the Euro Formula race. Then full-on thunder and lightning at lunchtime, so make sure you're eating indoors. And to all our spectators here today, don't stay out and about, and don't stand under a tree if there is lightning. Find somewhere safe. Then, as we get later into the day, temperatures kind of staying the same, but the rain eases up until 8 o'clock, by which point, hopefully, racing will be done. The sun will have set by...
Hopefully. You think we'll still be here at 8 o'clock tonight?
Well, at the moment, we've got GTOpen before Euroformula on the schedule, but I think you'd possibly be able to swap those two around, because obviously the Euroformulas can't displace as much water, and it's not as safe to drive in these kinds of conditions. So you'd want, ideally, the closed wheel cars to race in the wettest conditions, and single-seaters in the slightly safer weather. But at the moment, I don't see any sign of cars heading back on track this morning at all.
We have actually restarted the session. We've just got word from race control that we were about to go green. And just as we were hearing that, indeed, the clock starts ticking, but everyone is parked in pit lane. So, okay, prove me wrong. Technically, we have restarted the session. Does anyone go back out onto the circuit as the rain gets increasingly heavy here? Joe Osborne safe on pole position. Incidentally, a 148.82. Jacopo Guidetti, a 148.83. This was earlier on in the session. Ethan Simeoni, this was still on a dry circuit. Ethan Simeoni, yesterday's race winner. To start on grid 13 later this afternoon on what almost inevitably will be a very wet circuit here at Monza. The same circuit which 2 weeks ago, of course, hosted the Italian Formula One Grand Prix, where Daniel took the victory for McLaren. And here this afternoon, McLaren will start from pole position with the 72 car of Joe Osborne. Of course, he'll be sharing the car with Nick Moss, the British team, the British supercar, out of pole position here in the north of Italy. Glauco Solieri, car 12 for the legendary Kinzani Motorsport team. Joe Osborne, this was the pole lap. He just went across the line. A 48.828. Jacopo Guidetti, a 48.833. 0.005 of a second. And at that speed, they're crossing the line at around about 230 k's an hour. Up to 2 seconds. We're only talking a couple of centimetres at that speed. That's the difference. Jacopo Guidetti has missed pole position here this morning. Still everyone parked down in pit lane. No one has come back out onto the circuit. The clock, it's just a procedural issue, basically. It's ticking down. 8 minutes remain in the session. Jacopo Guidetti, car 18, keeps it out of the gravel and comes back to pit lane. They started at grid 2 yesterday with the local driver, Marco Bononomi, former Audi LMP1 Le Mans driver, in the World Endurance Championship. A fantastic opening stint before handing over to young Jacopo, who took it home to the checkered flag in position 3. Loris Spinelli ventured out onto the circuit and basically came back into pit lane immediately. Something along the lines of to hell with that. It was undrivable. And the Italian, he will start from the 4th row of the grid. And this incident with our Brazilian driver, Mauro Marcio, into the wall, brought out the red flag a few moments ago. So 7 minutes still remaining in the session. The track is green. It was actually Eugenio Pisani sharing the car 44, with Stefano Bozzoni saying it was undrivable down into the chicane.
And the McLaren guys just realised they're on TV, a little caught out there. But obviously they're not heading back on track yet. 6 minutes 50 to go. With the rain that it is at the moment, you're going to have a 4.5 minute outlap realistically, if you've got to be extra careful, which would give time for one flying lap. But if everyone headed out at the same time, and with gaps, because you want to get gaps, because you need the visibility, because you're running right behind a car, you're just going to have spray. Therefore, only the cars at the front are going to have a chance to really set a flying lap. And of those, they're all the GT Open cars, I think. Actually, no, GT Cup Open cars, because the Porsches at the front of the pit lane. So you're not really going to see anything happen at all, I think.
No one's going to move up any grid positions because everybody did get, maybe not the ideal lap, but a lap in the dry conditions.
Oh, hello.
in the dry conditions, they did set a lap, even if it wasn't ideal, but in the rain, no chance of going faster. We're in about 25 seconds a lap slower. The rain is starting to ease up into a consistent falling rhythm. You can hear it falling on our microphones around the circuit. So Joe Osborne will take pole position for race 2, the penultimate round of the 2021 championship. The clock's still ticking and we've got a red flag now. Now the session has been declared. So Osborne will start from pole position. Buongiorno, Marco. Marco Bononomi, Jacopo Guidetti, the three-strong Honda team, Nova race event, teaming up with Renault Racing here this weekend. And there is the confirmation the session will not restart. So the grid is set. Joe Osborne in the McLaren will start from pole position later this afternoon on a very wet circuit before he hands over to Nick Moss. So McLaren take victory in the Italian Formula One Grand Prix. A McLaren start from pole position for race 2, the penultimate round of the GTOpen International Championship. Jacopo Guidetti, as they did yesterday. The Honda will start out of grid 2. Crestani for Rinaldi Racing. The VSR cars of Giacomo Altuer, Yuki Nomoto out of 4 and 5. Axel Jeffries, the Zimbabwean, the African driver, out of 6. Gerhard Touarez, 7. Loris Spinelli, 8. On Faisal Al-Zabar, sharing the car with Andy Soucek out of 9. And Tyler Cook and the Kiwi, Brendan Leach, out of 10. Then it's Schandorf, the championship leader, back in 11. That will be interesting. And Ethan Simeone with the American Brandon Irie just ahead of him. Yesterday's race winner out of 13.
When they start the race later today, Schandorf is just going to see his rival in front of him. GT Cup Open Europe, we've got Artie Janos on pole, down in 17th place. He's got actually took pole by 2.7 seconds, it looks like, 6/10. So he's the gap there from Dan Peel in 18th, Jan Lauritsen in 19th, and then the GT Cup Open Europe M-Class battle, which is even further down than that. You got 22nd place, Glauco Solieri, 1 minute 57.9, and it looks like he's on pole by 3.2 seconds to Fernando Forte and then Marcio Moro. So
it was in the wall.
Yeah.
So an outlap has taken pole position in the Cup M class for Glauco Solieri.
Yes, yeah, he did. That's quite remarkable, actually.
It's fortunate, but hey, take it when it comes. Glauco Solieri, position 22 in this 26-car grid. Incidentally, for fans of the American muscle car, the Trans Am Ford Mustang of Alberto Astraguez did not take to the circuit. They did not race yesterday, and we hope they've had technical issues with that car, which is surprising because it is a relatively simple car compared to some of the high-tech supercars here, but it is an American muscle car, and we're a long way from the USA. Let's hope Albert Astraguez can get out on the circuit to join us for race 2 this afternoon. So the conditions deteriorating here at Monza. The grid is set. Thanks for joining us for qualifying. Joe Osborne will start from pole position on a very wet Monza circuit later this afternoon. We'll see you back here at 20 minutes past 2 local time, race 2, round 6, the 2021 GT Open International Championship. We'll see you this afternoon live from Monza.